The 4 primary factors that impact your credit score. Let's break it down on this episode of the Hawaii Retirement Show. All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in this episode of the Hawaii Retirement Show. Got an episode here. We're going to talk about the 4 primary factors that impact your credit score. From my understanding, there's probably a lot of other nuance and some other things to consider. But from what I could tell, there's really 4 primary factors or categories that make the most impact on your credit score. So before we jump right into all that, it's important to note that your credit score is important, and you never know when you might need it. I've come across many people who really cherish their credit score and value having good credit, and others who kind of take the mindset of, well, I'm not going to need it. I'm not planning on purchasing a house. I got my car, and they might take out a lot of promotional credit cards for the bonuses and negatively impact their credit score, but they're not super concerned because they don't tend to use the credit for any large purchases like loans or mortgages down the road. But I think it's pretty good perspective just to always maintain a good credit score just in case, right? You never know when the unknown might happen, and you might need to pull out a big loan or pull out a big mortgage, or maybe you're going to purchase a car and they're only qualifying people with a certain number and above for a preferential rate, and your car just kicks the bucket all of a sudden. Now at least you can qualify for that preferential rate. So it's always good to, just keep a good credit score on hand. Okay, so we'll jump right into the 4 primary factors that affect your credit score. Number 1 being credit usage, right? So let's say you have a home equity line of credit, you got a mortgage, you got a car loan, and you have maybe 1 or 2 credit cards that you work off of. And the goal is from your revolving credit. Now, the mortgage is static credit, but out of your revolving credit, which would be like your available credit. So, for instance, like a mortgage is static, so it's kind of taken out of that equation. But like your HELOC, let's say you have a $30,000 HELOC and you're using $10,000 of it, then you're only using whatever that is, right? 33% of your available credit. Right, so you calculate your total available revolving credit, so you can exclude your mortgage to that. So how much available in your credit card? So if you have 2 $50,000 limits on credit cards and one $30,000 limit on, HELOCs and whatever it might be, that constitutes your total available credit. And the rule of thumb is you want to be using less than 30% of that available credit. Reason being is as far as like the credit score is just to determine how credit worthy you are for new opportunities to lend you credit. And if you're over leveraged, if you have, if you're using 80% of your available credit, well, then the lender is going to say, well, do we really want to, loan more money to this individual if they're already kind of on the brink of maxing out what they have? So credit usage is the first factor. We want to be using less than 30% is considered good. The second factor is payment history. And by payment history, what they're looking at is any late payments. So late payments on your credit card, late payments on car loans or mortgages or home equity line of credits. Those late payments will kind of ping on your credit score. And from what I can gather, 1, maybe not so bad of an impact on your credit score. 2, maybe you get by and it doesn't really impact it. But once you get up to around 4, that's where it's going to have some pretty big impacts on your credit score as a whole. So payment history is category number 2. Late payments, don't make them. Pay everything on time. Number 3 is credit history. So how long is your credit history? I know I got my first credit card when I was somewhere around 18, 19, and I got it at a music store called Sam Ash. Actually, it might have been Guitar Center. And I got a company credit card, right? A Guitar Center credit card to purchase a guitar. And I don't know how they let me, as a 18, 19-year-old, get that credit card and purchase that guitar. But credit history. So I since closed that credit card, right? So that credit card isn't really counting towards my total credit history. It's all about your oldest active credit, usually credit card or credit, loan or whatever it might be. So that's why it's good. I have a credit card that I opened early on, maybe in my mid-20s, and I don't use it for much nowadays. I think I have one recurring payment on it, but it shows a lot of longevity in my credit score. And so it's just auto-paid. Something small is charged to it every month, and then it's just paid off automatically every month. I don't have to see it, but it creates a extended credit, years of credit history that benefits my my credit score. So they say 25 plus years is considered spectacular, right? So 25 years of more of credit history, and that's maintaining open credit. 8 to 24 is considered good. So that's why you might say, well, I don't use credit cards too much. I'm just going to close out everything and have no credit cards, no loan, no HELOCs available to me or anything like that. And, that can actually have a detriment to your credit score. You want to have some credit that's constantly available to you throughout the years because it shows better creditworthiness. If you don't have any, long periods of time with available credit that are active, then the creditor is unsure of what your score might be or how qualified you are to lend new money. Okay, that's number 3, credit history, length of available credit. So number 4 is credit checks, and credit checks is how many. So there's it's important to know that there's soft credit checks and hard credit checks. Soft credit checks is like if you check your own credit score. Or, I don't know what else would constitute a soft credit check, but it's not for new credit necessarily. Maybe it's like a pre-approval for a loan or something like that. Hard credit checks is when you apply for a credit card and they pull your credit, or you apply for a car loan and they pull your credit. That's a hard credit check. And what really impacts the credit score is you want to see maybe 1 to 2 is considered good, 0 is great, and that's over a 2-year span. So these credit checks, they fall off. So if I apply for a credit card today, in 2 years, it'll show up in my credit. It'll show up as a hard credit check for my credit score purposes, and it'll fall off in 2 years, right? And so what creditors want to see for your credit score is typically 0 is considered great, right? So in the past couple of years, you haven't pulled any credit. So now if you're going to apply for credit, that's a good thing in the creditor's mind. 1 to 2 is considered good. If you have like 6, credit checks on your score, it's definitely going to be negatively impacted by all those credit checks. So that kind of sums it up. 4 primary factors that impact your credit score. We got credit usage, the payment history, any late payments, your credit history, how long, and your credit checks. So all good factors to keep in mind. Remember, credit usage, keep it less than 30% is considered good. All right, if you have any questions, email it over to aloha@hawaiiretirementshow.com, and we'll catch you on the next one.
The opinions and statements presented on this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Never make any investment or financial decisions based on information offered on this show without first consulting your financial, legal, or tax advisor. All economic and performance information mentioned on the show is historical in nature and is not indicative of any future results. All indices mentioned on this show are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. All information is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. Lastly, all opinions opinions expressed by Jason Cutitta and any guests on the show are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of or are endorsed by ToBA Financial. For Jason Cutitta, investment advisory services are offered through ToBA Financial LLC, a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Hawaii and in other jurisdictions where exempt from registration.